It's April 12th, 2015, and we want to know, is Earth ain't nothing but heavy metal guitar soloists as far as the eye can see?
Do I need to consult a physician if I have countdown arena flashbacks lasting more than 4 hours?
All this and more is coming up next. It's Convergence Week 1 on DCR, starting now.
We rescue a world from mysticism and tyranny, and usher in a future brighter than anything we can imagine.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's
Distress Citizens Radio.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the Thunderdome, I guess you could say, the 52 Earth Center, 1 Earth leaves, because we're doing Convergence.
I was hoping it'd be the Shatterdome.
Oh, the Shatterdome probably would have been better. Yeah, but I prefer Thunderdome, because then I can play Tina Turner songs all episode.
But Idris Elba just has so much gravitas in his voice.
Fair enough. But we're covering an event for the next 8 episodes. Known
An event called Convergence.
I, of course, am your host, Sean Lamont, comic book reader extraordinaire, and my cohort in crime, Mr. Brian Glein. Hello, sir.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Are you ready for some converging?
All sorts of converging all over the place.
Just converging left and right. It sounds kind of dirty, to be honest. But we are going to be covering all of the books that come out over the next 8 weeks in this Convergence event. So as you guys know, as we have done in the normal New 52 stuff, that's pretty much over now. Pretty much over.
Kind of, sorta.
Kind of, sorta. We got a couple trailers here in a couple weeks that will put the final nail into the New 52. It will be picking up with the same storylines after this Convergence is done. Don't think they're rebooting out of all of this. But there may be some differences on the other side. There's obviously a bunch of new books launching, so we'll kind of play it by ear and see what happens at that point. But don't think that they're wiping away everything that we've been covering thus far. But as you guys know, this is a spoiler cast. We're going to be covering everything that came out from DC Comics in the Convergence event, talking about plot beats, storylines, character development, etc., etc. So I forewarn you guys, if you do not want these books spoiled, do not listen ahead. We're not going to do questions because we're recording 2 episodes back to back and it's already late. So what say, Brian? I don't know. How do you converge? Do we just converge into this week's books?
You osmose?
Yeah, let's osmose into this week's books then.
All right, we're starting off with Convergence number 0.
Yeah, we're bringing over a carryover from last week, because it makes more sense for it to be mixed in with the Convergence stuff. That way, if people want to just listen to the Convergence stuff, they have everything right there at their fingertips.
Yep. This is being written by Dan Jurgens and Ethan Businessman Bat Van Sciver.
Okay.
Yeah. So, this is maybe right after the Super Doom storyline?
It is exactly.
Okay.
When,
that thing when he flies through the portal, as, Superman does.
Well, yes, at the end of the Doomed storyline over in Superman books, he ended up taking Vril Dox, I guess you could say, classic Brainiac, probably one of the more iconic ones, the green guy with the 3 dots on his forehead. That, you see him, you think Brainiac, and you go, okay, that's Brainiac.
Yeah.
Pushed him through a portal at the end of the Doom storyline, and that was where they ran into Galactic-Ack, the giant main Brainiac, and all of the other ones that we have seen throughout all of time have been versions of this main Brainiac, and this is kind of his adventures here now. This is actually where he grows his beard. You know how all of a sudden in Action Comics he just shows up one day with a beard?
Yeah.
And he's very beaten down, like, I've seen some shit, man. I've seen some shit. This is why that happened, where all of a sudden he just came back. Weren't you in a black hole? Yeah, I came back. You don't want to go through any black holes.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, so as you've already said, Superman bursts through the multiverse and comes face to face with Galactic. He gets imprisoned, and Galactic hatches a plan to collect and steal his timeline or his city, something like that. He's very intrigued with cities.
Yes, he likes them.
Yeah,
he's the Pokemon master of cities.
Mm-hmm. He's got to catch them all.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the very best.
How ironic, considering his final fate.
Like no one ever was.
Yep.
To dome them all is my request. To slay them is my cause.
Superman. So, I'm sorry, that really threw me off. So he's super intrigued by Superman and how he survives in every timeline. He can't get killed by a Brainiac, but he'll get killed by other things because he's being a good person. It's very annoying to him.
Yeah, I know. That would be very annoying.
It's like Brainiac didn't win in this one, but then he goes and flies off into the sun and like looks like an old, iron worker poster. What's going on?
What's up with this?
Yeah. Eventually Superman breaks free, and as he does, he starts wandering around Brainiac's multiversal world, or planet or whatever. And
it's a planet.
Yeah, and he comes across classic Brainiac with the black underwear and the white go-go boots and the pink long-sleeve shirt.
You look kind of out of place.
The stylish Brainiac, as we like to call him. So his master, quotation fingers, Galactiac, is missing, because maybe he was defeated in Future's End.
Yep, and imprisoned.
So if Superman wants to get back to a city, well, he takes care of a bunch of different metropolises, or what you call them, metropolisi?
Just metropoli.
Metropoli. Yeah, and so
he gets the pick of the litter.
Yes, you get to pick whichever one of these metropoli you want.
I got a vampire one. I got a Russian one over here. You might like that one.
There's one that looks like the future. There's a bunch of Volkswagen bugs there.
Yeah, you might like that one. I got some stuff from before Flashpoint. I got some after Flashpoint. I got some during Flashpoint.
I got some 0 Hour if that's your bag.
If that's your thing, I got it. I got it all. Because
you're going to lose a lot of vitamin D at that one, but you take what you can get. As he's doing this, he frequently changes into a different Brainiac as he goes through each different one, like the metal skeleton Epcot head, the animated series, the Gary Frank.
I actually was really happy to see that one.
The Gary Frank snake body, etc., etc. Some of the cities are old metropolises. Some of them are New York. At least one is Fawcett City from Shazam, the home of Captain Marvel. Galactiac found a living planet and converted it into a multiversal city zoo. And all the other Brainiacs are just like the planet's sentience come to life?
Yes, the planet named Telos. It's kind of like Mogo. It's a sentient planet, controls everything on itself, and is almost the chief general of the Galactic Act. Like, he's the one in charge of all of the domes.
He's the major domo.
The major domo of the
USA. Superman won't take any of these cities, so he fights the various Brainiacs and gets sent off to his home reality with a tornado. And the Brainiacs form together to create a new villain, the big one we see on all the Convergence ads. And he's going to shake up his ant farm and make all of his ants fight each other, and he's going to see who lives and who dies.
Yes. 52 Earths enter, 1 Earth leaves.
Yeah. So in the back of...
Who runs Border Town?
Yep. So, in the back of this issue, we see a bunch of cities that he has listed in the back, and guess what? They're almost all Metropolis or Gotham City.
Yeah, pretty much almost
there's
verbatim.
There's a few New York...
there's a central city
There's a few New Yorks thrown in for color, and of course there's Follywood, California for Captain Carrot.
Of course.
Yeah, a little less exciting than the 52 worlds we got in Multiverse. I don't know. I honestly thought this was going to be more of a...
like Chicago from Earth 8 and Peoria from Earth 16 and...
See, something about...
Kalamazoo from Earth 32.
I was hoping at least Captain Carrots would be Koala Walla, Washington.
I'm hoping you're joking. I'm sincerely hoping.
Yeah. No, there's something... For some reason, there's something about it just being cities that is a million times less interesting when we just had multiversity and it showed us 52 whole worlds that had all these limitless possibilities. Yeah, it's just a city.
Yeah, but these aren't the multiverse worlds. These are
more about like time points. I know.
Yeah. I mean, this is more of a time capsule than it is an actual separate multiversal world. So we're going to have these little time capsules where they're going to open up and be like, oh man, a letter I wrote to myself when I was 10 and my cassette tape of my favorite, I don't know, Duran Duran songs. Oh man, this is going to be sweet.
Ka-singles, all my ka-singles.
Oh, my future me is going to be so happy I saved this stuff. Future me is like, what do I do with this? How do I even play it?
I've got a thing the size of a stick of gum in my pocket that has every song ever on it.
Thanks, past me.
Yeah.
Couldn't even play this if I wanted to.
I could fit 5 of these in one single. What were you doing?
I paid $2 for this one cassette tape of a song? God damn. No, I think it's a good idea for a Band-Aid. As I said, we were talking beforehand where you were kind of like, And DC has been very blatant, very upfront and said this is a Band-Aid crossover while they move from New York over to California. It gives them a good enough story reason to bring back a lot of these characters and have their cake and eat it too. Hey, we're still the New 52, but hey, we get to bring out all of our old toys from our old toy box and mash them against each other real quick, and then eventually one of them will fly out of the toy box, and we don't have to worry about it anymore because the maid will come and clean it up.
Yeah.
After we move, we already left New York. Ha! Sex you, cleaning crew.
Yep.
So in that case, I think as long as they deliver a story, which as we're going to see with some of these books, they're good. They're good. And I don't even know half of these characters, that it pays for itself, I think, in that cause. Don't look at it as the end-all, be-all event of the century that nothing will be the same afterwards. Just look at it as a fun
It just means Cassandra Cain's probably going to be popping up in Batman again.
Just poking her head up.
Yeah.
Like, whoop.
Hello. Oh, wait, I forgot she doesn't talk. My mistake. She'll be waving. It'll be like Waldo.
Just every issue, it's gonna be like Kelly's "Where's Batman?" Except it's gonna be
it's "Where's Batgirl?" Yes, where's Black Bat? Wasn't that her name?
Every now and again, she'll be in every book. You just have to find her.
You gotta find her utility belt on one page and her batarang on another.
Bat Highlights is coming out next, so yeah, looking forward to that. So I'm gonna move us forward into Convergence number 1 because last week we were talking about Earth 2. We were talking about how surely we would never see certain characters again until this particular issue. But before we get to them, we take a little pit stop. We actually get to the Gotham of Injustice. Yeah! Finally! We've all been clamoring. All of us that have been reading Injustice and we're like, bring them in. Get them involved. They deserve their own Earth. This is a fascinating little subsection Elseworlds thing you got going on over here. They deserve to live and come in to the greater DCU. And I was like, cool, Injustice is in this. I didn't even realize they were going to get some play here. But it's like in the future. Because remember, this is all cities right before they were about to be destroyed, or their planet was about to be destroyed, or their timeline erased.
Or so they got canceled.
Yeah, so this is like in the future of the Injustice timeline, after the game, the first game itself. Superman, of course, in the game went all totalitarian. He ended up being imprisoned, and as soon as the domes
got a cool Cable eye tattoo, apparently.
Well, no,
that'd be more Bishop.
That hasn't been in the books yet. So
okay.
This is like, that's to set him apart and say, future, look how hardcore he is.
In the future, everyone gets their first initial tattooed over their eye. That's just how it works in comics.
That's how we do things. But no, the domes drop, and this Superman has escaped. He's been held prisoner the entire time while the domes were up. Everyone under him didn't have their powers. So it was pretty easy. They just kind of had him in handcuffs and a prison jumpsuit. It was pretty easy to keep him down. But as soon as the dome drops, he gets his powers back, and he goes around leveling all of the Injustice Gotham City. Like, I ain't gonna play by these rules. I ain't listening to this Telos guy that said that we have to fight and defend our little bottled cities. No, I'm gonna destroy this place myself because all these people turned against me in the Injustice stuff. And since he's not playing fair, Telos, the living planet, gives us our first fatality of an Earth as the future Injustice Earth is crushed by a giant volcano fist thing and erased from the whole thing.
Hello, darkness,
leaving us forevermore.
Well, if anything's going to get hit by a fatality, it's the Mortal Kombat universe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It was still like, no, you guys had your chance. You could have been brought into this whole thing. But they're gone. They're our first ones. But we're going to focus more on the Earth 2 survivors who were pulled out by Telos right as Earth 2 was being consumed by Apocalypse at the end of Earth 2 World's End. And it's Earth 2 Batman, which is Thomas Wayne, old grizzled Thomas Wayne. Dick Grayson, who is just a war correspondent, really great with kids. Mm-hmm. Just if you ever need a kid,
open up a daycare soon. Daddy get daycare soon.
We'll talk about that here in a second. The Flash, Jay Garrick, is there as well, who's running around trying to save them as they get shoved through the portal. He's like, I'll get you Batman, and guy I've never met before in my life.
Yes.
And Superman, Val Zod. And the biggest surprise,
some lady in a blouse.
Yolanda Montez.
Animal girl.
Wildcat. Wow. Or at least she was back in previous timelines. And this one, on Earth 2, she was the avatar of the red, of animals and stuff like that. Kind of an animal man of
I think
Earth
she was
2.
I think she was Animal Girl in the Future Zen Teen Titans.
Oh, was it?
I could have been
Okay.
wrong, but
That very well could be the case. They all are arguing amongst themselves. Dick Grayson is angry because they weren't able to save Earth 2, and by God, his wife was killed, and I might have had a kid or something too. He doesn't even bring them up, so
Yeah.
who cares about the kids anymore? I mean, he's fine. I did my job as a dad. That kid is perfectly safe, stranded out in the middle of space with a bunch of people. Pfft, it'll be fine. I gave him to that nice, 4 horsemen of the apocalypse people that work for Apocalypse. I'm sure he'll be good. Really funny though, when Yolanda pops up out of the sand, she just immediately gives a smooch to Dick Grayson, like, thank God I'm alive. And as the internet said, it was like, well, she has red hair. She has to give Dick Grayson a kiss. Apparently that's a constant in all of the multiverse. Yes. As they're arguing amongst themselves, and I just have in parentheses here, Grayson, wah, 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 Telos shows up and goes, hey, guys, I pulled you from Earth 2. Where's your city? Everyone needs a city. I just told Superman this.
yeah.
Why is everyone that's showing up now not coming with the city? I mean, it's on the invite. You have to BYOC. Bring your own city. And, you guys don't have one. No. And they're all going, yeah, I was just eaten by Darkseid and Apocalypse. We don't have an Earth, period. Who are you? Where are we? And he's like, no. I did it exactly right. I waited until the very last minute right beforehand, and I was pulling you guys through. The city should have came with you. We all know I listened to Brainiac's rules, who obviously follows the do as I say, not as I do, because as we saw in Future's End, he just rode in on his space scooter and was like, taking this city, yoink, 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 right in the middle of the day. Nothing was happening, and I guess he thought he could get away with it. I just have Brainiac, yoink, in my notes. But they go, well, we don't have a city. Too bad, so sad. And he goes, well, you guys can't do this anymore, but you were the last one on my checklist. I have my little gotta catch 'em all checklist here, and Earth 2 was the last one. So I'm assuming, since Brainiac isn't here, I don't know where he is, surely he's off pulling a city right before it dies. Because that's the rules. See what happened? He didn't follow the rules. Now he's paying the price. Obviously, I'm supposed to do something. This means something. So I'm just going to drop all the domes. Everyone can get out there, and they can all fight amongst themselves, and whoever is deemed worthy, the strongest, maybe they'll get reestablished back into the multiverse. So, behold, dome people! And he kind of blasts this out to everyone out there. I let you go and return your powers, but you each must defend your cities from the other dome peoples out there, because I'm going to choose some champions from City A and some champions from City B, and they're all going to fight each other, all these different Earths, and if your champions all die, your Earth shall be destroyed, or at least your city, the last remnants of your Earth. And I guess to complete the Mortal Kombat stuff, 3, 2, 1, ready, fight! And everyone's like, huzzah! And we see all the Supermans flying off, because they're going to go punch people in the face. Like Supermans do. They're looking for portals.
Is the proper pluralization Supersman?
Supersman. Well, there's no sun, technically.
Okay.
So I'm assuming they're all flying off to find the portal that they're going to solve their each individual problems with by tossing stuff through it.
Exactly.
So a little bit of a slow start in the 0 and 1. We basically just set the cast as far as the Earth 2 people being the ones that we're going to follow. New 52 Superman's flying around some places, and then we got Telos and all of the premise of all of these Earths fighting one another based off of the first 0 and 1 issue, which isn't that bad. I understand the 0 issue was kind of a lead-in thing, so I'm not expecting them to set all of the premise in 0. The first issue is kind of the, okay, here's our premise, hoping they continue forward from there next week with the second one.
0 looked great.
0 looked amazing. 1 looked great too. I mean,
okay, who did number 1?
Let me find it here.
Sorry.
It's a newer guy for me, at least. Carlo Pagulayan.
Huh. That doesn't ring any bells.
Pagulayan. Yeah, I have not seen his stuff before, I don't think, unless he's kind of filled in, but showed up and did a great job.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I have no complaints whatsoever. Hopefully we'll see some more of his work moving forward. But speaking of moving forward, Brian,
all right,
you get to do our first tie-in issue.
All right.
Convergence,
Batman and Robin #1 by Ron Mars and Dennis Cohen. So, Sean, do you prefer the regular covers or the one that have the blue gradient filter covering up the whole thing?
I prefer regular covers.
Okay.
That's just me.
Yeah. So, the first page tells us in every issue, what we're dealing with this particular week seems to be a showdown between the pre-Flashpoint Gotham City, El Inferno, which is the city the Justice Riders come from.
The Old West!
Yeehaw! A lot of roller coasters there. The Flashpoint Gotham City, New York City of Angkor, which is the extremists who are Marvel villain analogs.
Okay.
And Follywood, California, which has the Amazing Zoo Crew, aka the Just a Lot of Animals.
Okay, fair enough.
So right now, in Batman and Robin, we are in the pre-Flashpoint Gotham City. These are all the characters everyone got all grumpy about losing when the New 52 took over.
Okay.
So we are trapped under the dome, and your usual suspects of Batman rogues go to rough up Poison Ivy and take control of her farm.
Because she's actually been feeding all of the people under the dome, which I thought was a nice little touch for her.
Yeah.
Because I guess pre-New 52, she was like a anti-hero?
Yeah,
with
when
the
she was...
Gotham City Siren stuff?
Yeah, around about that time. She was leaning in that direction. So you've got Penguin, Black Mask, Mr. Freeze, Man-Bat, of course. So then Bruce Wayne Batman and Damian Wayne Robin show up in the flying Batmobile, the best Batmobile.
Okay.
And fight them for pages and pages and pages. It's so great seeing these characters that we lost to the New 52 back and fighting again.
Yeah, they're punching things.
You can't get this anywhere else.
No, I've never seen Batman or Robin punch things.
Nope. And then Red Hood shows up with his serrated knives.
Yeah, Red Hood!
And then he leaves. And off in the background, Scarlet, the former Professor Pig, Dolotron, who just sort of fell off the face of the earth and whose story never really finished and was really interested, waves and says, "Hey, I'm here too.
Does she actually say anything?
No, she just kind of stands in the background, waves and says, "I'm here too. Want to learn more about me?" And Red Hood says, "No, stop doing things." So Batman and Robin, and to a lesser extent Red Hood, save Poison Ivy from the villains, and she gets to go back to feeding the city.
Out such a key part because it actually ties into one of my issues.
Okay.
Mr. Freeze and his apathy.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what? Why are we even doing this little
we're all stuck here.
Show?
We can't do anything.
Yeah, we've been doing this for how long now? A year? Okay, I'm just going to leave now.
Yeah. We then go back to Stately Wayne Manor, and Damian is so mad that Batman had a Robin before him in Red Hood, and he quits being Robin. How dare you have a sidekick before you knew I existed? So then Damian goes and fights Red Hood, while Scarlet stands in the background.
Waves some more. They're like, stop waving!
Don't you draw attention to yourself. And then Batman comes to stop them when suddenly, attention Convergence March shoppers! This is Telos here. I'm going to tell you about this blue light special, or magenta light special, depending on who's coloring your dome into your book this week. So we've got deep savings on spatulas, Kraft macaroni and cheese,
wow.
and fighting people from the multiverse.
Wait.
So get ready for that. There's also going to be this thing where you could be getting your powers back, but if this is a Bat book, that's probably kind of redundant, so I won't mention it here. Okay, everyone get ready to Hunger Game it up, everybody.
Woo!
And then suddenly the extremists show up to fight Batman, Robin, Red Hood, and maybe Scarlet if they let her. You know?
If they let her.
Yeah. The extremists are DC analogs of Marvel villains, except instead of the cool Doctor Doom and like Dr. Octopus ones, we've got the analogs of Sabretooth, Arcade, and Madame Mask here.
What are their names?
The possibilities are, well, I know Arcade is Carney.
Yes.
Sabretooth is just like Brute.
Yeah.
And Madame Mask, there's a couple other randos in the background with very
Bleak
generic
Michael
names.
There?
Bleak Michael was not there.
But that's his crowd. Those are the kind of people Bleak Michael hangs out
with. Hey,
with.
it's gonna be Red Hood fighting Arcade. The possibilities are endless on Battle World.
You sound a little snarky with this issue.
Oh wait, did I say Battle World?
Yes, you did. That's why I said you sounded a little snarky.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, pardon me. I did have to, I was a little confused with this because from what we understand, this is taking place where these Earths were pulled out right before they ended, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the premise of this whole thing. And this is the pre-Flashpoint. So it would be like literally a snapshot, just as Barry Allen went back in time and changed the timeline and set up the Flashpoint stuff.
Yeah.
At that point, Damian had already gone through the whole, oh, Jason Todd, oh man, you're a bad person. I can't believe you're back in town again. I mean, we'd already gone through all that stuff for probably like a year or two prior to that snapshot point.
Yeah.
So I was like, are we just rewinding things to explain it for other people that might be new? I mean, it makes sense if that's what they're doing, but I just didn't feel like it was the best starting point. As you said, hey, it's all these characters that people have missed and were angry or gone. Let's have them just punch things and rehash the storylines that we already did with them prior.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like the strongest selling point for me for this one. I did like some of the setup that they did as far as like, obviously the Mr. Freeze, how some of the villains see what they're supposed to be doing there. Like Penguin thinks he can just set up a racket, or Black Mask does, and Poison Ivy's out there helping people, and there's still the dad-son relationship with Damian and him, but it just felt it wouldn't have been my first step forward into this if I was doing it. So I can't judge it for other people. Again, it might have been so it could be a explanation point or a jump on point for people that don't know the previous stuff whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I read a thing on Uprocks, I think. Nathan Birch did a thing where he's just like, Convergence is kind of like, a good place for someone who's never really read a comic book before to come in and get the basic idea of it.
Yeah,
and I can see that take.
Yeah, I can see that take, especially with the. What did you think of the last 2 pages of all of the issues?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that entirely. But in the last 2 issues, they sort of give you a recap of like the main story points of a certain character. In this case, it was a Damien.
Yeah, which was great. They did it for like a bunch of characters this week. And even I was just like, oh, this is exactly what I want as far as like a quick high level. These are the things that made this character like.
It's a less D&D version of Who's Who in the DC universe.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So we just need them on flashcards.
Yeah.
Flashcards.
Come flashbacks. Sold.
Yeah. You did it right there.
Yeah.
Major domo to that. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You're on a roll today. You're on a roll. So I'm going to move us forward to Convergence Nightwing / Oracle #1. Cause they're dating.
Ooh, kissy kissy, rub my 2 index fingers together.
But we start off with the first Earth on Earth kill. Cause the domes have fallen. We're going to flash back from this point, but Flashpoint, Hawkman, and Hawkwoman roll in and slaughter the entire Old West Justice Riders of Inferno before Telos can even finish his speech. As he's giving the overview of what the rules are, the Hawk people from Flashpoint just kind of fly over and go smash, 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 and bonk all their noggins and fly away. It's like, okay. And they're talking to all of the Brainiac robots like, are you not entertained? If you're not, that's cool. We're just going to fly over
robots,
here and bonk
there's no emotion. I guess you really can't be entertained, but
So we're just going to fly over here and bonk some other people. So right before the domes went down, back in pre-Flashpoint Gotham, we're dealing with the long-established relationship of Nightwing and Oracle, and it's holding on by a string under the dome. They're both kind of at their edge. Nightwing's obviously doing a lot better than Oracle, and they're still fighting crime. And in this case, they're busting up a museum heist. It's a classic museum heist. And even Nightwing's like, God, I missed a good museum heist. Where Mr. Freeze is busting in to steal the diamonds that are on display. And he's like, ha, give me some cold puns, Mr. Freeze. Come on, I'm ready for this. Mr. Freeze is like, really? My heart's not in this at all, dude. I'm not feeling it. I've stolen these diamonds twice already. They didn't even turn on the alarm this time. I'm so disheartened. Just take me to jail.
Okay, maybe if I had read every single one of these issues, I would have enjoyed the interconnectivity a little bit more. I'm noticing like 5 different things already that make my issues much better than when I read them. So.
Exactly. I was actually going to touch on that after this one, that there is a lot more interknitting in here than I really was expecting.
You could totally read them by themselves, but I guess you guys get a lot more of them if you're gonna read them all together.
Yep. But he's so done, and Oracle's giving the whole Oracle, of course, being Barbara Gordon when she was paralyzed. After the Joker shot her in the pre-New 52 stuff, she never rehabilitated, got her legs back. Was actually a computer hacker, information broker for all of the Bat family and superheroes at large, and is now in a relationship with Nightwing here in Gotham City. I figure I should probably explain that just in case people don't know that. But in this case, Mr. Freeze just gives up, and Oracle's even saying, this is bad. if everyone's giving up, it's just apathy is setting in. We've been living under this dome for a year. I'm feeling it gnawing at the edges of my brain that all of this crime fighting stuff is just a shadow play. We're not really doing anything. We're just going through the motions right now because that's what we did before. Why would living under a dome be acceptable? Why are we just going back into our old patterns prior? That makes no sense. What the heck's going on? Really psychological deep dive into the complete frustration that these people would be dealing with. And it's really the only book that kind of delved into that part of it. And it's really stood out for it. I was just like, man, yeah, why would you go through all this stuff for a year? Who gives a crap? I think, Batgirl does it as well. They have like a little scene in there when we get to that book. But, there is a lot of people who are just like, come on, guys, the capes and tights thing, it's done. We live under a dome. There's nothing you can do. It's not like you can get away. You're going to be like 3 blocks down the street. I'll get there in like 5 minutes and then we'll have our little fight. But what are we going to do at the end of the day? We're just going to do it again tomorrow. Let's not do that. So anyhow, she's suffering silently as the apathy starts to gnaw at him. But of course, Dick Grayson is the guy that lives in the moment. He doesn't care about tomorrow, man. He lives in the moment, day to day, hour to hour. Yeah. And he runs across Starfire and he's like, hey, Starfire, how's it going? And she was, of course, in Gotham for reasons at the time when it got domed. And she has the hots for Dick. I guess this is a long-running love triangle of Dick Grayson, Starfire, and Barbara Gordon. And she has the hots for Dick, but she's like, okay, you're with Oracle. You should be. You guys make each other happy. And Dick's trying to ask her, do you think everything's going to be fine? He wants to pop the question to her, to Oracle. And she's like, yeah, get out there, do your thing. You're the best. Yeah, way to go, Dick Grayson. So it's kind of a ending to that where she's like, yeah, I have feelings for you, but I'm letting you go because you're going with the person you should be with right now. Oh, happy days. So he goes back home. They go out to dinner and he's about to pop the question where he actually does pop the question. And she just goes, no, I'm not going to marry you, Dick Grayson, because she feels that she would drag him down. She already feels the depression gnawing at her, as I said, where she's going to lose her grip. And she doesn't think that that's a good mix for him right now because he's the only thing holding the city itself together because he is so happy-go-lucky day by day. We're just going to make it one more day, guys. And she doesn't want to be the destruction of that. So that's why she says no. But right at that moment, attention, people of the domes. We're bringing down the domes here. And the domes come down. And immediately, as soon as the domes come down, apparently these Hawk people, so busy, so efficient. They just slaughtered all the Justice Riders. Then they just fly on over to this pre-Flashpoint Gotham, find Nightwing and Oracle out to dinner, and they have all these like floating Death Hawk robots around them and stuff. And they go, hey guys, what's up? We're here to smote you. That's what we do. We're the Hawk people. We heard though, through the grapevine, you guys had some Hawk people that used to fly around and help you defend stuff, and they were Thanagarians as well. And they're like, yeah, they were good friends. We liked them, Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Yeah, they were good peeps. And they just kind of sidle up real close and go, well, just to get this out of the way, we're not those assholes. We're these assholes. They start beating the crap out of both of them. It's like, geez, guys, you Flashpoint Hawk people are very rude. Very rude. But they come over and say, hey, we actually...
Uncalled for.
Yeah, we actually came over with a proposition. See, our little Flashpoint Earth just had a giant war. It was bad. It was really bad. We basically have rubble back there at ours. It's craptacular. TV sucks. There's nothing really good to eat. So we have no connection to it whatsoever. We're from Thanagar. We're not from Earth. We could give a crap about that city. So we're going to surrender to you. Brainiac will destroy that old city, and we're just going to take refuge here. But in order for that to happen, we're going to become your new kings and recreate Thanagar here. How's that sound? You guys get to live, but you're slaves to us, but you still get to live. Sound good? And they go, no, that doesn't really sound good either. And they go, okay, well, tell you what, we're going to head down to the center of the city here. You got an hour to think it over, and just meet us there, and if you don't want to, we'll just kill you right then and there. Sound good? Sound good? Okay. Hawk people out! And they fly off away. Off to the center of town. And Dick Grayson goes, well, we have to head back to the armory. We have to arm up. we're going to take him down. You and me. Come on, let's do this. And she just goes, I can't come with you, Dick Grayson. He's like, what? I can't believe this. You're just like so full of surprises today. And every time I think you should say yes, you're saying no. Well, whatever. If you want to follow me and help defend the city, meet me downtown in an hour. And he goes running off. And she's like, well, if you would have let me finish my sentence, it would have made a lot more sense, but I was going to say I can't come with you because I already started fighting them through my computer systems like 10 minutes ago as soon as they showed up. So I guess I'm helping you from afar. Jeez, impulsive Nightwing. You're just like those Hawk people. So rude. But again, I really like the psychological aspects of this particular issue. It felt good. And to see badass Hawk people who have had a rough go of it in the New 52. I'm not going to lie. The Hawk folk have not had a good time in the New 52. So to see their Flashpoint counterparts who were badasses of badasses out there just slaughtering Earths left and right. It's nice to see those guys out there getting some respect for the Hawk folk. Respect! Caw-caw!
All right, moving on to Convergence Speed Force number 1. Tony Bedard and Tom Grummett.
Force.
All right, so we're talking about Wally West. Give a little refresher on Wally West. He was Flash number 3.
Okay,
he was from the 80s on after Barry Allen sacrificed himself at Crisis for Infinite Earths. He got married to Linda Park, who was the girl who Kelly may remember that was getting all handsy on Grant Gustin that she did not care for one bit. No.
Get your hands off my man.
Mm-hmm. And they had 2 kids, Jay and Iris, named after Flash number 1 and his aunt. Mm-hmm. Iris became Impulse number 2, and then continuity got wiped out, and I got all frowny.
Oh, sad panda.
Yeah. So Wally West has just gotten a JLA alert signal, so instead of pulling a Dick Grayson and just handing his kids off, he takes them with him to Gotham City with, instead of having like monkey backpacks that like the little tail hooks onto the parent and they just drag the kids along, the Speed Force Lightning just drags the kids along behind him.
See, I have questions about that.
Okay.
I'll wait until you get to later on in the book because that seems like a weird mechanic to have with your kids.
A bit.
Like a really inopportune mechanic.
So sure enough, he takes him to Gotham City, which just, as soon as he gets in there, it gets trapped. They get trapped under a dome.
FYI, he's in the running for great parent as well. Why would you take your kids to Gotham City?
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So 1 year later, all the superheroes have lost their powers, and Wally West spends his nights hitting the dome with a gold miner's pickaxe, while all the normal citizens talk behind his back and just kind of feel sort of bad for him.
There's gold in them there domes.
It's like, oh my gosh, he's almost as bad as the Atom. No, he's not. But still,
We'll get to him later.
Yeah. And then Telos gets on the loudspeaker. Attention students, there's going to be a fight in the cafeteria between multiversal cities. Some may have questioned why I installed all these loudspeakers everywhere in my dome, but hey, who's laughing now? You wouldn't have known about the big fight, so now you do.
None of you guys would have shown up, and it would have been really awkward as I sat there all alone by myself waiting for people to fight, but no one showed up.
So Wally and his kids get their powers back. The kids had powers as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they like just speedsters as well, or were they like weird variations of speed powers?
There were sort of like variations of speed powers. Like the boy Jay was able to like increase his muscle mass and get stronger.
Wait, why is that speed?
Like sped up his like
metabolism,
something along those lines.
There's speed up his pituitary gland.
There was a better explanation for it at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just been so long since I read them, and Iris was just super fast. I think there was another twist to it, but I can't remember it, and they don't go into it.
Who was Inertia? Was that one of them?
Inertia was the evil Impulse.
Oh, okay, never mind.
The evil, the Nega Impulse.
Okay, disregard that.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm thinking of that person when I think of those two. Might have been a Flashpoint story.
Yeah, so they go and speed around and try to help everyone instead of just battle royaling around. So they go to help the Justice Riders, but they've already been defeated. It's like, oh man, but I had this pickaxe I wanted to share with them.
I was so looking, really, quite honestly, it was like, Injustice Earth, yeah, finally, people will get to see how awesome, oh, they're gone. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, at least I have this old-timey Western one, that looks pretty, oh, they're gone. Yeah. I'm like, every Earth I'm interested in is getting slaughtered straight out of the gate.
Yeah, so they zoom around, and they find a bunch of other cities like Bizarropolis and the Legion of Superhero City and Quard and the Freedom Fighters and Plastic Man City, which I never really understood the connection between those characters because they don't really fit together. I guess they were made by the same person or something.
Old-timey 20s style stuff, maybe?
I
like
guess.
the gangster and the Uncle Sam.
I guess. But they go rushing through the Captain Carrot City, and suddenly they get chased by a mysterious speedster. Is it the Reverse Flash or Savitar? No, it's Fastback, the fast cartoon turtle.
Oh. Hey, Fastback.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up with your name? Is it like a pun or something? I can't quite figure it out. I've known you existed for like a good 20, 30 years. I still don't get you. Still don't get you, Fastback. So let's team up and help people. Okay, but now we've got to fight Flashpoint Wonder Woman. Oh no, it looks like she's a total B.
She is a total B.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the whole Flashpoint timeline?
Just the little bit I got from the Flashpoint cartoon.
Okay, it's pretty similar. Both her and Aquaman
She
were
like
supposed to be
hate
wed.
married Aquaman or something?
No, they actually loved each other and were supposed to get married, but then each one of their courts, like Orm over on the Aquaman side, and then one of the Themyscirans, Amazonians, schemed up this whole big thing that led to an assassination of Hippolyta, and then both sides blamed the other as far as this whole war thing, and then they ended up quite literally sinking the entire continent of Europe, and Themyscira took over Great Britain, and there was this great big like WWII style war of just Russia sending a whole bunch of Rocket Reds just like, no, you guys stay over there. Don't come over here. And those two just slaughtering everything in between them.
Okay.
So they're like huge warrior people, like crazy warrior people, fought off entire armies solo, left and right, and not to be trifled with. Not to be trifled with.
See, the only thing I really remember from Flashpoint, I remember the internet making a big deal about they made a big deal in some of their press about this new character called the Cambridge Cricket or something.
Yep.
And then he showed up in like 2 issues and was never heard from again.
Yeah, he was just in one of the tie-ins, and I think he got capped actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they locked G-Force at the bottom of the ocean. Geoforce, poor Geoforce.
Oh, Geoforce, no, please.
I know. Locking him at the bottom of the ocean and using him as a weapon, an earthquake, tsunami weapon. Poor Geoforce.
Oh no, poor Geoforce.
I know. I had to bring it up because I know how much you love that
Oh,
character.
I love Geoforce so much. He's my favorite.
So what do you think? Flash is kind of your guy.
I like Flash.
I know you like the Flash.
Wally West was my Flash, growing up.
Was this pretty close to the Wally West that you remember?
Because
he seemed kind of morose there for a little bit.
He was a little morose
for obvious
here, yeah.
reasons. Oops, I accidentally led my kids into a giant.
He was the happy
ant farm.
Flash, I hate to be that guy, but it's like maybe when he started having kids and stuff, it sort of lost some of the original reason why I like the character. I don't know.
Oh, you're one of them.
I don't know.
You're one of them.
I guess.
People can't be happy superheroes and have a family life. Oh,
I don't know.
you're one of them.
But there's other, but I love so many other family-based characters. I think it's just because, I like Flash having solo adventures, and it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta drag my kids along with me now.
Well, wasn't it his kids were just constantly used as peril plot points all the time?
they were boy targets,
Yeah, and that was kind of, I know I've talked to a couple other people that said that was the same thing. That it wasn't the fact that he was a happy family man. It was the fact that it was literally every issue was, oh my gosh,
my kids are in danger.
Yeah, I guess I'll go save them.
Yeah, it's like the mentorship stuff was fun when he was like teaching them how to use their powers and stuff. That was great, and because they didn't have powers exactly like his, so he didn't quite know what he was doing. That part was fun.
I think you do this. I don't know. Do you speed up your pituitary? I don't even know how your powers work as far as speed for.
Suddenly you look like Cable and you're like 12. I don't know what's going on.
Be careful because people will show up and punch you in the face. Superman and Wonder Woman punch 12-year-olds all the time. So last for me, but at least he's palling around with Fastback. That might cheer him up.
That sounds
He's
like
got
it's fun.
an animated turtle pal to run around with. There, you might get your happy-go-lucky guy back. Last but not least for this half of the show, though, is Convergence Batgirl, number 1. And we're dealing again with pre-Flashpoint Gotham because the Batgirl of this one is Stephanie Brown. But she's dropped the cape and cowl and taken up work at a clinic. Just like Oracle, was kind of like, it's all a shadow play anyway. There's no point in doing the whole cops and robbers stuff. I'm just going to try to help in any way I possibly can. So much so that Killer Moth flies in and tries to attack them, and she's just like, okay, I know you got picked on, obviously, just not today. And she just walks past him, and poor Killer Moth's just like head down, like, man, can't even attack just random civilians anymore without them blowing me off. But luckily for them, luckily for them, Cassandra Cain. I found her. I found her. And Tim Drake are still on patrol, and they, I guess, clonk him over the head.
Have you found the Wizard Whitebeard, though?
No, I
Until
have
you found
not.
the Wizard Whitebeard, you truly haven't finished the puzzle.
Curses. So she returns on home where she's living with Cassandra Cain, and she comes back and they have a weird argument about eating their pet hamster because that's why they were raising it and breeding hamsters, so there would be meat to eat. But Stephanie doesn't want to eat their pet. Yeah, and I was like, yay. Again, this is like
if I've learned anything from Maniac Mansion, whatever you do, don't put it in the microwave.
This was like, for me, the whole, okay, well, I get to see why people like Cassandra Cain, and she's snarky. I see why they, she's got like the whole Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibe to her. Like, oh, I'm just going to tell a bunch of quips and stuff when I'm in inopportune situations. Look at me. I'm quick with the wit. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that role's kind of filled by Harper now.
Yeah.
So I can see why people are, but they put them together, so maybe it'll be like their own little snark team over there in the New 52 stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, moving on. But they find out, it comes over the news that the domes are coming down. Attention, people of the domes, I'm bringing them down. If you guys haven't noticed a recurring theme in these books. And it's announced that I'm sorry, not Cassandra, but Stephanie Brown is going to be one of the champions of pre-Gotham Flashpoint. Some of the books seem to adopt the whole you're a champion. Some of them are just like you're a defender. Some of them are just like, oh, the dome fell down and these Hawk people showed up. I have no idea what happened.
We're going to get to my favorite one soon.
Well, Tim and Cassandra Cain come over and go, well, we need to train you. You've been out of the mask for a year now. You've grown fat and weak. Let's get you back in shape. They start playing Eye of the Tiger and they're training, and Tim shows up and I'm like, finally, a chance to see why people like Tim Drake. He's had a really rough go in the New 52, much like the Hawk people. And I was like, this is like the pre-New 52 stuff. I'm going to see where he shines, see why people love this guy. And, my opinion has not improved very much of Tim Drake. Because as they're out there trying to help out the people of the city, the domes have fallen, all the people want to just run off into the wilderness, and they're like, no, you guys stay here. We're going to go check out if it's safe. They get pulled off through a portal into the battle arena, where they're supposed to fight their opposing champions. And as they're standing watch, Stephanie steps away to use the restroom real quick when she's approached by creepy, rapey Catman from another Earth, I'm assuming.
Okay.
He's just kind of very creepy, but he's got a great backstory where he's like, yeah, I live on the plains of Africa and I protect my pride against the forces of General Grodd and his guerrilla troops. I'm like, hey, where's that one shot? I wouldn't mind reading a one shot about this. That sounds pretty good. But as they're about to fight, Tim comes running up and he's like, Batgirl. You have to help us. There's something going. I can't remember what it was I was supposed to tell you now. I'm just gonna watch you fight this creepy Catman guy though, and he just stands up against a rock. I'm like, okay, well that's weird. Why would he run over there in the first place? Maybe he's trying to protect her or something and didn't want to act like he was getting involved or whatever. But then Catman and Stephanie Brown keep fighting until finally Catman goes, I can't do this. This is creepy and weird. You got your weird friend over there just smiling at us the whole time. I can't fight you with a straight face right now. This is ridiculous. And she's like, what do you mean he's over there smiling? She turns around and Tim Drake's got this like goofy grin on his face. She's like, Tim, what the hell are you doing? And verbatim, what his little bubble says is, I can't help it. You're just so pretty. And I was like, why do people
He's a
like
smoothie.
Why do people like this
He's
guy?
a smoothie.
God, he's worse here than he is in the New 52. But then Stephanie Brown's like, you must have got sprayed with a flower or something, didn't you? That's what happened. You got sprayed with a flower or something. That's fine. I've seen it before. People act weird. So let's head on back. I have a feeling Cassandra probably needs some help. I just have this gut feeling. She goes running back just in time to see Cassandra Cain fighting off General Grodd in his full armor. I'm assuming what it is that Grodd used his psychic powers to mess with Tim Drake and made him forget things as soon as he ran around, but it was not construed very easily. And to me, it was just like, God, this is such a kludgy character. Why would anyone want to read this? Not this particular book, but that character. And I was just like, Tim Drake sucks. He sucks so bad.
Poor Tim Drake.
But again, I see why people like the Stephanie Brown, very Buffy in the DC universe, as I said before. Snarky, witty. kind of the goofy, not taking it too seriously. I guess we'll see how she plays in once we get back to the regular timeline. Now that she's palling around with her doppelganger, I assume, Harper Row, the New 52 doppelganger of Stephanie Brown. I'm the snarky one. I'm counterculture. Well, I'm the goody two-shoes counterculture. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. Maybe it'll be Reese's. Maybe. But that wraps us up for this half. Brian, what do you got for round 2?
I got Convergence Superman, and I've got Convergence Justice League, and Convergence Atom.
And I will be wrapping up with Convergence Harley Quinn, Convergence Titans, Convergence Question. So hold on a couple seconds. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will run through those books.
Meanwhile,
We have returned.
Okay, that's now different than "and we're back." Is that your multiversal "and we're back"?
Yes, it's my Telos is very wrong.
What are you going to do with the domes, Telos?
I'm going to bring them down.
Oh, my goodness. Like the walls of Jericho, I shall bring them down.
So, we are starting off with Convergence Superman #1. It's Dan Jurgens and Lee Weeks. It's
Who? Who did this one?
Dan Jurgens?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah. It's the best looking book of the week on my end. Really good.
This is your runaway?
This is my runaway.
Yep.
Here's my Superman refresher. He used to wear his underpants on the outside, and it was very important to his character.
Okay, I wasn't unaware of this. Mm-hmm. Is that where he got his powers from?
Yes.
His confidence, because he didn't have to worry about slippage.
On commando now. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Everything's going rogue.
No, it's craziness, man. All these supervillains, very scantily clad, could be a very awkward battle scene.
Yeah.
Very awkward, as we saw with Dick Grayson and Grayson. Having to scrunch over and try to do cartwheels and backflips. It's hard. Literally.
All right, so Superman, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen got stuck in Gotham City at a news convention.
Oh, were they a Shaka Con?
I want to know who planned that one. The hotel group rates are so low in Gotham City.
To be fair, you know you're going to get a story while you're there. Like,
very true.
You probably get 12 headlines a day where they're just like, I just stick the microphone out the window and I get paid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Superman has been running around righting wrongs with no powers, and his wife, Lois Lane, has been running things from back at their hotel over his earpiece.
So they were straight up married before Flashpoint.
Yes, they were in fact married back then. Lois Lane was also a lot more likable.
I don't think she's unlikable now. She's a strong, independent woman.
She was when she was married to Superman as well. Basically, they've been like Daredevil and Karen Page back in Marvel. Like it's like, oh, we're teaming up, wearing black, giving each other tips.
Sure,
someone appreciated that. So Superman's punching some bad guys. Lois is being cool, giving him advice and tips and stuff over the earpiece.
Don't get shot, Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
watch out!
Punch those bad guys, Superman. What advice can you give him?
Superman, use your moves. So,
does he just have like a mute button on his little earpiece, or it's just like,
So as Telos is about to announce something, hey, wait, why are you still fighting over my announcement? Some thugs go to flamethrow Superman, but then his powers come back, and he hastily gets rid of the thugs and saves Jimmy Olsen, the boy target. So he flies off to tell Lois that his powers have come back, and Lois is preggers.
Yeah, because he didn't have his powers for a year.
Yeah, they couldn't have a baby when he was all superpowered, but they used their downtime to have a kid. Storytelling opportunity.
Yeah, there you go.
The things you couldn't do before, you're doing them now. That's great. That's what you should be doing.
But now in the New 52, he has to go outside and destroy 10 square miles with a solar flare, and then he could come back and knock someone out.
Yeah.
You really know when Superman's having a good date night because 10 miles of forest just got incinerated.
10 miles of forest has been incinerated. Clark Kent's wearing a red polo shirt for some reason. I don't know.
There's a sock on the Fortress of Solitude.
It's a really big sock. So it's like, should we be listening to that announcement? No, let's just relax and be happy for a while.
Yeah, just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then luckily Lois Lane recorded Telos' announcement. So Telos is about to announce something. Hey, wait, why are you all still fighting over my announcement? I need to tell you that you're about to fight other cities from the multiverse and coyly dance around the names of crossovers. Some kingdoms may be coming to an end. These infinite Earths, there may be a crisis involving them.
It could boil
Put
up
my
to a
finger-
flashpoint.
Yes, let me put my finger over my mouth and smirk. So...
That Telos, he's so coy.
Yes.
It's so strange that each Earth got a different announcement, though.
So Superman gets an Evite from the several even X's or Justice Leaguers of the Flashpoint Gotham City, so he goes and fights the Flashpoint Justice League.
They're not evil. The people he's going to fight are actually the good guys in Flashpoint.
Yeah, but still compared to
they're
our Justice League,
darkest
they're still kind
timeline.
of,
Yeah, but they're still the good. They were the people that were fighting against all of the totalitarian stuff going on over there.
Yeah, also, Superman supporting character Professor Hamilton of Star Labs just happened to be visiting the Gotham branch or something of Star Labs, and he gives Jimmy Olsen a new God's Whiz-Wagon to help in the fighting. Because of course he did.
Sure. That one flew over my head. I'm assuming that's a callback to something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Superman fights Captain Thunder is Shazam?
Yes, it's all of the 7 kids.
Oh, so it's literally Captain Planet.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically each one of them gets one of the powers, like one of them gets the strength of Atlas, one of them gets the wisdom of Solomon, and blah, 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 blah.
That was in the cartoon, I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then they all form up into Captain Shazam or whatever his name is.
Thunder, yeah.
Captain Thunder, yeah.
Yeah, so Captain Thunder and the Flashpoint League fight Superman when loser Flashpoint Superman hears Lois Lane over Superman.
He's not a loser, he's a sad character.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Kal-El?
He got, trapped away from the sun, and so he's, all atrophied.
Well, when his pod crashed, the government got it instead of the Kents, and they locked him up in a top secret place, obviously no sunlight getting in, so he grew up with no sunlight, and he's all scrawny and weak, and to free him right before the Great Big War, Lois Lane ran in, and her dying act was to free him, and then she died in his arms as he went off to join the war.
Oh, man.
Which might
rough,
give you some of the stuff coming up.
Yeah, so he hears, so loser Flashpoint Superman hears Lois,
Hey!
hears Lois Lane over Superman's earpiece, so he goes off to stalk her since he lost his Lois, and Superman gets beat down by the Flashpoint League as he listens to Lois being kidnapped.
Oh man, that's rough.
That's a cliffhanger.
But he at least had gotten the Flashpoint Justice League to stop and maybe have a conversation, be rational human beings, until stupid Jimmy Olsen and his Whiz-Wagon
flies in with his Whiz-Wagon.
guns ablazing. I got your back, Superman.
Pew pew pew. Yeah, but this is really good, and they really ran with the concept.
Yeah.
Like, we're picking up where we left off. We're telling stories we didn't get a chance to tell, and we can't tell anymore. It's great.
Yeah. So you enjoyed this one?
I enjoyed this one.
Did this one redeem the entire thing for you? Remember, as we started, you were kind of a little shaky about this, but if you get more stories like this, are you going to be like, this was a great idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. Well, hopefully you get your wish, at least one or two
so,
a week. That's all I'm
Yeah.
hoping for you. My fingers are crossed.
All I can ask for, really.
So moving on, I have Convergence. Harley Quinn. Sorry, I almost messed it up. And this is like the classic animated series Harley Quinn, the red and black like jester, the Harley Quinn.
Mr. J Puddin'.
Yep, she's got the Jersey accent and everything, and she's doing her thing, but she's kind of she's going solo. This is right before the dome comes down. She's broken off from the Joker. She was palling around with her gal pals, Poison Ivy and Catwoman, for a while, but now she's going to do crime on her own. I can do this by myself. I don't need to rely on other people. And it just goes south immediately. Like, she has laughing hyenas as her pets, and they keep eating all of her goons, and she's like, no, hyenas, no, attack the police officers, not the goons, and the goons are like, this is the worst paying job ever. And she's confronted by one of the officers, and she ends up smashing his hand with a giant mallet, and is about to kill him. Actually, there's a cute little scene where she's like, I'm going to split your head like a watermelon, and he's like, banana would work better in this case. She's like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna smash this banana and split. You're right. You're a much better writer. I'm gonna sign you on. And then she sees he's buying time to reach for his gun, and she's like, "Oh, you tricky little cop! I'm gonna smush your head." And just before she can do so, that's when the dome comes down, and we kind of jump to the 1 year later, where with a lot of work, she has actually gotten a grip on her schizophrenic nature. She's worked with the doctors and the psychiatrists. She's a normal girl. She has a normal job now. And she's actually hooked up with that officer, because she was taken in as part of her therapy to meet him, to ask for forgiveness, et cetera, et cetera. And they kind of hit it off. They moved in together. They've been having a good time. And even though her medication ran out a month ago, she has been struggling, holding on by a spare thread to her sanity. And there's even this little scene where she can see this old-timey Joker, like an old 50s, 60s era Joker that will just appear over her ear and start whispering, and it's just really kind of messed up in her head. But nope.
Is it the Cesar Romero one that's painted over the mustache?
Yeah, it's like an old-timey one, and she's just like, no, I got this. I'm a better person for my boyfriend Louis. I'm gonna love conquers all. I'm gonna hang on to this whole thing. Whew, this is really rough though. I am barely hanging on to my sanity. Her old cohorts in crime, Catwoman and Poison Ivy, though, are not quite as inactive. As we know, Poison Ivy is growing food for everyone there and has to fight off the villains, and Catwoman's helping her out because they all assume that she's selling the food and has tons and tons of money there. And then, as they're up there fighting off criminals, Telos comes over the loudspeaker. "I will bring the domes down." Ooh. And they do so, and it is announced that Harley Quinn is one of the champions, and she will be facing off against Captain Carrot. And I was like, okay, so we're dealing with a goofy thing here. It's going to be all slapsticky and stuff
Harley
like
Quinn's
that.
going to be jumping around like a slinky going, woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what I assumed we were getting at the beginning with all the hyenas eating people. So both Catwoman and Poison Ivy go, well, if we're going to stand a chance, we're going to have to get Harley Quinn back in her old fighting form. So they go hup, 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 and kick in the doors and kind of tie down Harley Quinn, knock her unconscious. And they're holding down Louis because he's like, no, you don't understand. She's been off her meds. You can't do it, because they're injecting her with this stuff to flush out the medications and get her back to herself. And Louis going, she doesn't even have any medications in her. Oh my God, you're going to kill her. And she comes to, dressed up in her old costume once more, and they're like, how you feeling, Harley? And it's just this kaleidoscope of Jokers all around her, and the fish that she was talking to her psychiatrist about, how she always would talk to them to keep her sanity. There's swimming around her fingers, and the laughing fish, and it's just, she's completely snapped. She's lost her grip on everything. And instead of the happy-go-lucky, goofy, ha, 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 I felt so bad for Harley at the end of this issue. And it was purely by design. I mean, that was purely what they were going for, and they completely succeeded in it, because it was just she finally found her place. She was being her own person, and she was living up to who she could be, and it was all just taken away from her like that. And it was oh, man. Now I have to be all cheerful for a Captain Carrot fight next issue. I don't think they're going to be all happy and goofy with it. It's going to be sad by the end. I know it is. Really good issue, really strong. Again, it's more of the mental issues of living under a dome than the physical Batman and Robin. Let's punch some bad guys like we always used to do. So instead of picking up the old storylines, they're dealing with the new stuff and running with that, which I can respect that as well, as far as how living under a dome for a year affects these people and how they're doing their thing. So maybe I have a different appreciation for some of these titles than you do, since you're looking for one last round with the old pals, and I'm just looking for good storytelling.
You're looking for domes to come down.
I'm looking for domes to come down. I want these domes gone.
Are these domes up?
I think they're up again.
Uh-oh.
Reset them. Reset the domes, because, Brian, I got Titans. I'm sorry, Convergence, the Titans. Yes. We're dealing with the old school Teen Titans. Maybe not the old school, but the right before the end of the pre-Flashpoint stuff. And we're mostly following Roy Harper. He's kind of our main character, aka Arsenal. And you know how we have our little 2 pages at the back there where we get to follow the high points of people's careers, like the big things that happen to them?
Arsenal doesn't have the best one, does he?
What the hell did they do to this guy?
This poor guy.
This is like the trials of Job in these 2 pages where it's like...
Is there a picture of him swinging a dead cat
No,
around?
that's not there.
They gave him a little bit of dignity.
He was a sidekick to Green Arrow, became a heroin addict, got kicked out of the whole hero thing, ended up hooking up with the equivalent of the CIA, and while he was undercover, he shacked up with Cheshire, and Cheshire had a kid, a little daughter by the name of Leon, and so he ends up reconciling with her, I guess, and she ends up sending herself to jail, but he's still going to stand by her, and he gets custody of Leon, and that's kind of where it all goes south for him, like really, really quickly. He takes on his new identity as Arsenal, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a part of the Justice League. Look at this. I got promoted. I'm on the Justice League. Things are looking up for Arsenal. And then Prometheus shows up and rips his arm off. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, man, things could not possibly get worse for me. And like the next day, Prometheus detonates a bomb and kills his daughter, Leon. Mm-hmm. And then he goes off the wagon and gets all hopped up on smack and throws dead cats at people.
Yep.
And that's kind of where we pick him up now.
Oh, fun. Everyone's favorite version of Arsenal.
I was like, holy crap, no wonder he went freaking insane, though. It's just this cavalcade of crappy crap that happens to this guy, like day in and day out. Yeah, he's gonna break and go insane and throw dead cats at people. I would have thrown dead cats right at the arm ripped off part. I would have just found a dead cat and flung it with my one good arm. It's like, oh, I'm so frustrated. But a year has passed, Brian, under the dome. So he's gotten a little better. And with a grant from Bruce Wayne, he's opened up an orphanage because he's going to take care of the kids that have lost their parents during this whole dome thing. I mean, he's turning over a new leaf. He's doing it all for the memory of his daughter. He's going to make this Gotham, even if it is under a dome, a better place. For some odd reason, the dome deactivated his robot arm, so he just has like a little prosthetic arm that he's walking around with. I don't know how this dome works exactly. Yeah. I know it stops powers apparently, also targets cybernetics. I don't know how Cyborg was doing anything over in the Flashpoint universe.
Yeah, well.
Just kind of laying there like, guys, this sucks. So needless to say, he's not the happy-go-lucky guy we met in the New 52 that we have grown to love as a goofball.
Yeah.
This is a much darker guy. And as the dome falls, Donna Troy and Starfire are also there, and they get their powers back, and they're flying around, and Arsenal calls them up right off the bat, like, hey, apparently we're supposed to defend the city from someone or something. And that's when all of a sudden explosions start happening, because over on the docks, Brian, the most metal of all supervillains are there. From Earth 8, from Angor, it's Lord Havoc and the Extremist. I assume they're from Earth Dragon Force. I'm assuming here.
Needly guitars this far as the eye can see.
Again, these are the Marvel analog villains. So it's
the birds are just flying V guitar.
It's the Doctor Doom, the Dormammu, the some of the bigger name ones.
Oh, so you got the bigger ones.
Yeah, I got all the good ones. You got the leftovers over in your book. So as they're fighting, though, all of a sudden Arsenal jumps up and he's got his little laser cannon arm thing on again. He's like, yeah, Titans forever. Let's do this. And he's about to blast them when Dreamslayer, who is the Dormammu analog, goes, you know, I bet you I can make Arsenal kill both of these people. And all the Angor people are like, no way, you can't do it. And he's like, yeah, I totally could. Watch this. He goes, hey, Arsenal, if you kill the other two people, I'll give you exactly what you want. He's like, no, I'm not going to kill my best friends in the whole wide world. She goes, well, I got like super duper magic powers. And just like this planet can do it, watch this. Woo-jity-woo. I just pulled your daughter out from right before she died. Here she is, right here in front of me. Ha ha! What you gonna do now? If you kill your friends, I'll just give her back, and you guys can even come over to our Earth. We don't care. What do you say? And it's just this anguished panel, this page of him trying to decide what to do, and all of a sudden his little laser cannon on his arm splits off and points both directions to the side at both Donna Troy and Starfire, who both turn and look at him and go, "What are you doing?" And it's just this full page spread of him just pure agony. Just this grimace of pure pain, as it's the entire point of the issue has been, I'm doing this for the memory of my daughter. I'm doing this for Lian. I'm holding on for Lian. Everything is for her. And he just pulls the trigger and shoots them both in the face.
Okay.
That's how they end it. I was like, holy shit, that is dark.
That's our pre-Flashpoint arsenal.
But at the same time, I have no connection to those characters whatsoever. I have the short form version of that story from
Young Justice.
From Young Justice.
A slightly less,
much less dire and horrible. It was more of a redemption story during the second season of that, where it was them trying to go off and find. I mean, it went dark again when they found out he was a clone and all that, but spoilers, sorry.
Yeah.
But still, at the same time, it was this whole like. There was some light at the end of the tunnel. This was just bleak as shit, and I felt so bad for the guy.
You may have seen me turn into a happy Muppet when I heard Lian was back for a split second, because Lian was kind of a fan favorite supporting character.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Was she like the Little Wing and Animal Man, like the happy-go-lucky girl?
Kinda,
that was just like, hey, Dad, you're a superhero. That's cool.
Exactly, because you see, at least from my point of view, before Jeff Johns took over Teen Titans, there was a short-lived run that was just called Titans, and it was the it was the original characters, just older.
Okay.
And that's where you got a lot of Arsenal's like character development. You just saw him being a good dad, and she was hanging out with the team and just being like kind of like the team side,
like a mascot
almost.
Okay.
And it'd be funny when someone would stay behind and just watch Lian while everyone else was having an adventure, and it was super adorable. And
so instead of monitor duty, they had Lian duty that had to watch the little girl.
And it was adorable. It was great. And that was sort of how I became accustomed with all these, like second generation heroes.
Sure.
And he was like a pretty cool dude. And he obviously had, the tortured aspect. It was like, oh crap, my
mentor
my mentor kicked me out. My child's I'm getting off the smack. My child's daughter is a supervillain, and she's constantly going around supervillaining around and making it harder. But
all about that poison.
Yeah, but he was a very likable character, and when suddenly it's just like, hey, you know what?
Cry for justice.
I want cry. Yeah, exactly. Cry. That's all you got to say. Cry for justice. Cry for justice. It's a sticking point that just won't go away at this point.
See, I actually went back and read that, and I had no connection to the character, so it didn't really hit me that hard. I was just like, man, sucks to be that dude.
Yeah.
And then I go back and read where everyone's just like, cry for justice. Freaking die in a fire. Honestly, that seems to be like the sentiment. And I assumed it was because everyone liked the little kid and blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
I think just killing a kid in general for shock value was enough to make people go, ugh. And if you had read a lot of stuff with her in it, you're just like, oh, ugh.
I think it's just the cavalcade of bad things that happen to him.
Similarly, that's kind of the similar reason why people were not too keen on Identity Crisis. It's like,
I guess.
It's like, I went back and I read it, and, it was a very good story. But at the same time, if it was any characters other than them, it probably would have left not such a bad taste in so many people's mouths.
Sure. But real sidetrack here. Mm-hmm. You did go back and read it. Mm-hmm. I know you borrowed it from me.
Yeah.
Was it better than you remembered it?
It was better than I remembered.
Okay, so maybe time heals all wounds.
The actual story structure and everything to it was pretty expertly done.
Yes, and I think there might have been some, because I have the newest Absolute edition of it, it may have had edits along the years or something like that. Okay. I know they've done that before with trades, so maybe there was something cleaned up in my version that was different in the original that you read.
This stuff happens to Tim Drake still makes absolutely no sense, but
I really like that scene.
It's excellently done. It still makes no GD sense.
That scene of them racing back to his dad was probably, honestly, the most invested into a what's gonna happen moment as far as reading comics for me thus far.
Still makes no sense whatsoever.
Doesn't matter. It was still such expertly done that I was just like, man,
expertly
what
plotted
is gonna
and paced,
happen? Yeah,
still makes no flipping sense.
That was pitch perfect pacing, I think. Not even gonna go into the content, but the pacing of it, mwah. I loved it. It really pulled me in off of it. So
I'd just like to see Rags Morales do some more stuff.
yeah,
He's pretty good.
Yeah, it's got the Action Comics run at the beginning here of the new 52.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on. You got
I've got Convergence, Justice League #1.
Okay.
All right, Frank Thierry and Vicente Cifuentes. First off, very important, a refresher on Congo-Rilla. Congo-Rilla was an old-timey big game punter called Congo Bill who got trapped in the body of a giant gold gorilla.
Who doesn't get trapped in the body of an ape?
That's just all you need to know.
It's DC Comics. We need monkeys.
Yep. Apes.
I knew you were gonna do it. That was what we call a softball there, Brian.
Yes. So, Jesse Quick is giving birth to her and Our Man's baby at Gotham City Hospital.
Yeah, that's who you want to be shacked up with. Our Man? Yeah! Hour of power! What's up, Our Man? Fist bump! Boom!
The modern Our Man had an awesome costume. I wish they would bring it back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was just excellently designed. Like, just enough nods to the old one, but less enough cool new stuff. I really enjoyed it. And
Fair enough.
We don't see it anywhere here, but it was cool.
No, because we're all about them ladies in this one.
Yep.
Which I like that they focused on that for this. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll let you actually tell us about it.
So anyway, Jessie Quick is having her baby at Gotham City Hospital because all of her gal pal Justice Leaguers decide to throw her a baby shower near Zatanna's magic show in Gotham. What are the odds that they would be at Gotham at this particular point in time?
I don't know. Is that an actual callback to an issue? For some odd reason, I have a mental picture of an issue, or maybe it was an episode of a cartoon or something, where everyone was out having a baby shower.
I think it was an actual issue that happened.
Okay.
I remember seeing that as well.
Yeah, I don't know why it's stuck in my head, but that's something that I remember of all of them palling around. And it was a downtime issue, and they were just like making fun of the guys who were off having some really stupid adventure, and just like, oh man, it sucks. Where are all the ladies at?
Yep. So we've got Supergirl, Zatanna, Vixen, Jessie Quick, and Jade, the daughter of the original Green Lantern, and another one of the many, many super ladies that Kyle Rayner has dated.
Yes, he has.
Also,
he's the Green Lantern. He has power over everything green. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also,
Our Man fist bump.
Also, the people at the hospital are not happy that there's a golden gorilla trying to get in at the front desk. Because Congo-Rilla was part of the Justice League at the time. And then a dome goes up over the city.
I did not see this coming.
We've got to save Congo-Rilla, everybody. This is very important.
Okay. Calm down.
So, a year later, without any powers, the girls start up a nightclub. Apple titties for everybody.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. Go, girlfriend. Snap, snap. Girls doing it for themselves.
Where's the kid?
Also, Mara is there somehow. Maybe Mara was the kid. I don't know. She's just there. She wasn't there before. And suddenly there's Telos. It's ladies' night. Superheroines drink free and fight other people from the multiverse for free.
Woo! You have to get all the ladies going woo after an announcement like that.
Yeah. And then it turns out that a Flashpoint Aquaman is there, and he's super evil. He's killing someone with
He's just misunderstood.
Okay.
Because Orm's been like manipulating him and making him be a really bad king.
Okay. So
I mean, I know in the New 52 he's a bad king all on his own.
Yeah.
We've already established that, but this time he's kind of being manipulated into being a bad king.
We spend a good 2 or 3 pages of him just killing some dude with long blonde hair. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's the Arthur Joseph Curry Sword of Atlantis Aquaman. We don't even know if it's him, but I'm going to talk about him really quick because I want to say that the Kurt Busiek Sword of Atlantis series never got a fair shake because Aquaman being treated like a syndicated Hercules series with King Shark and a humanoid Topo as his sidekicks and an octopus wizard version of the original Aquaman mysteriously guiding him along was kind of great. This sounds like madness, but it was an actual thing, and it was pretty good.
That sounds like madness, and I'm just going to stop there.
And no one cared about it, and it was canceled with a quickness.
Are you kidding? No one latched onto that? That sounds like it's such a grounded... Wait, were any kids killed in it?
No.
Well, that's why no one read it. I mean, geez, come on, man. Get with the times. Get with the times.
So with the ladies of the Justice League ready to fight whoever Telos throws at them, Mira gets kidnapped by Flashpoint Aquaman's men. Flashpoint.
Aquaman's men.
Yes. So Flashpoint Aquaman tries to force himself on Mera. She slaps him, so he sends his giant fish monster army after the Justice Ladies.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave it.
Where did all those fish come from?
I don't know.
How was the water staying in the bay after the dome came down?
I don't know, but that dome got a very important part of the bay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, apparently. I was just curious, like, when the dome came down, if all of Aquaman's water just went whoosh off, and he was just sitting there like, this may be a negative strike.
Problematic.
This may put a cramp in my plan.
Well, I'd love it if the dome just stopped over the water and no one knew that you could just swim under the dome. And Aquaman's just like, yes, this is to my advantage.
Maybe that's where he got all the fish. He's been stealing them from the other domes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Smart play.
Yeah.
Flashpoint Aquaman, smart play. Again, I did like seeing those characters, though, being the prime. Because they don't get any play, really, in the New 52 stuff. Half of those characters haven't even been introduced yet.
Yeah.
So to let those guys have their fun, or gals in this case, hey, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't spun off the Congarilla book.
I know.
That's primed and ready to go.
It's a license to print. It's a license to print money.
License to print $1.
Oh wait, actually, we did see the baby. Congarilla was babysitting.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how to work diapers with his giant gorilla hands.
Yeah. Like, don't change it. They even said, don't change the diapers with your feet. Just do with your hands.
So last one for me in this first week of Convergence is Convergence the Question. And I have an odd link with this particular version of the question, with Renee Montoya as the question, because in going back after starting this show, I had only read the New 52 stuff, and I was like, you know what? I should at least get an inkling of what they're referencing in some of this stuff. So I had a very, very high level, like the highest of high points.
You read all the crossovers in 52 because I forced you.
Yeah, it was basically starting at Identity Crisis just a little bit beforehand and going from there. That was basically what I did as far as the high level crossover stuff. I went back and read like the No Man's Land. I read what else came after that? The Gotham Central, and obviously she was in No Man's Land. She was in Gotham Central. Wasn't in Identity Crisis, but then was in 52 as a main character. Was in Final Crisis, the Batwoman Elegy stuff, and then the Batwoman series. So for me, the pre-New 52 stuff hinges around this particular character, this Renee Montoya question. And not even just as the question, but just Renee Montoya herself. And I feel like I've kind of followed her arc through the pre-New 52 stuff. And so I have a little bit of an attachment to this very character that I'm about to cover. So she's always been there along the way, and now we're dealing with her in the domed Gotham of the pre-Flashpoint stuff, where she is working with Two-Face, which from the No Man's Land stuff, she actually, Two-Face fell in love with her during the No Man's Land stuff. The Harvey Dent aspect of him did. And she worked with him to convince him to actually try to not be totally evil during No Man's Land. And that's kind of we're calling back to that stuff here. They're running around trying to acquire medicine from looters because her dad is in the hospital dying of cancer. It's a really bad go for Renee Montoya. It's a callback because, of course, Vic Sage died of cancer as well. So it's kind of a, well, Big C's really kind of tearing everyone you love away from you. That kind of sucks, Renee. But they end up finding some medicine, and she takes it back, and everything's going. And this is kind of a Big Burn style Two-Face, like what we saw in the Batman and Robin crossover, where every day he goes home and he flips a coin on whether he's going to shoot himself in the head. But for some odd reason, much like Arsenal's cybernetic arm, his coin only comes up heads under the dome. He can only do good things while the dome is up. Oh, how frustrating. I'm pretty much one face at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just face.
Yeah.
I'm face guy. Could join the A-team, but no, he doesn't. Every single night he does this. Renee Montoya, disguised as the question, shows up.
If only I were Mel Gibson and I didn't have any face.
Yeah. But he doesn't know that Renee Montoya is also the question. So every night when he's going through this little regiment, she shows up as the question and tries to convince him not to do it. And hey, you don't have to do this every day. You know what it's going to do anyway. Why don't you just stop relying on the coin? Trying to help him out, trying to break him off of his idiosyncrasies. And as they're doing that, she returns home, meets up with her roommate Huntress, the old Helena Bertinelli Huntress, and who warns her, you can't trust Two-Face. He's two-faced. It's in his name. For the love of God, woman. This is pretty simple here. This is not rocket science. And, basically, it's every night she keeps showing up there and doing this again. And the one night she shows up is the same night that Telos comes over the loudspeaker and goes, "Hey, guess what I'm going to do, guys? I'm leaving the domes up. I just wanted to let you know it's going to be another day. Nah, I'm playing with you. I'm bringing the domes down. Let's get out there and you guys are going to fight each other. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah." And that's when finally Two-Face figures out, well, if there's different multiverses out there, there's different Two-Faces, maybe 8 faces. Octo-Face might be out there. I don't know. But I can get one of them.
Dodecahedron face would be really weird.
I can get one of them to kill me, so I don't have to worry about committing suicide. Because, I'm a decent guy. I know suicide's wrong, but, I follow the whims of the coin. And Renee Montoya's there and is going, well, don't you have to consult the coin, see what it says? And he goes, fine. And he flips the coin. And he's holding it up really close to his face. And he's like, well, you look at that. And as Renee comes up to look at it, he clonks her over the head and knocks her unconscious. And as she comes to, Two-Face is gone, nowhere to be seen. And of course, Huntress is standing there like, told you, he's Two-Face. He's Two-Faced. I thought we went over this. But I assume you're going to need some help, so I called in the big guns, and that's when they turn around, and Batwoman is there, who has had a long and storied relationship with Renee Montoya in the pre-Flashpoint universe. They used to be lovers, and now she's being brought in. And as it says for the tagline for the next issue, 3 badass women, 2 Harvey Dents, and 1 inevitable conclusion. I was like, hey, that's a nice little tagline to lead you to the next one. This one was so heavy on the dialogue, and that's what carried it. I'm not doing it justice. It was a very good issue. Greg Rucka.
Oh, yeah. He did.
These are his characters.
He's the Renee Montoya writer.
These are pretty much his characters that he's playing with one more time. Hasn't done much for DC, really. I don't know if there was something that happened or...
I think he's just been doing a lot of crime books and stuff.
Yeah, I know he's been off doing his own thing for a while, too. Nice to see him back.
Yeah.
Nice to see him back. I obviously, he was in the 52 writing team, wasn't he?
Yeah. He did that. He did all the awesome, amazing Question and Renee Montoya stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, he's definitely already proven himself as a good writer.
Yeah.
And again, he shows up and just goes, oh, by the way, I'm good at this stuff, so enjoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to say anything other than that. Just don't go by my recap of it. It's just basically, I give you plot beats. The dialogue is really what carries this particular issue, and that's definitely his strong suit.
Yeah, it's also nice to see. I was expecting maybe some more of the classic writers to be coming back, so it's nice to see that a few of them did get to come back for some other characters.
I saw Louise Simonson gets to write Steel next week or the week after. One of the. Yeah, I mean it's. They are coming back to some of the Len Wein's doing Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay.
So I mean they are pulling the originators.
There's a few this week. I'm just like, really? Do you have any connection to these characters? Okay, I mean, sure, whatever. But
pre-Flashpoint is such a broad term that I mean it is kind of hard to just say who is the defining person for this character, or if they're not available, who are we going to get to do it? So. And some of them are actually in the process of moving right now.
True,
so
very
you can't
true.
really just be like, the entire point of this whole thing is to let you move, but write a book as well, please.
Yeah. All right, so we're closing up with Convergence Adam #1 by Tom Payer and Steve Yoel.
Yep.
All right, first let's start off with my Ryan Choi Adam refresher.
Oh,
That's very distracting, so please don't do that. Use that music from the Disney thing at the beginning. That was great. So he took over after everyone thought it might be a good idea to let the Atom cool down after, the Brad Meltzer Identity Crisis stuff.
Yep.
So he is a character from, I don't think we've ever talked about Grant Morrison's Little Black Book for a while. It was a big thing for a while.
No, I don't think we've talked about it at all, really.
Yeah, when he did Seven Soldiers, he talked about how he's like, I've got this book with all these alternate takes on DC characters. I come up with them and I write them down and I hope to maybe use them again eventually.
Sure.
And so when Seven Soldiers did so well and people liked the idea, they're like, oh, obviously you can't write all these things, but can you maybe give some of your ideas to other people? And he goes, yeah. And he did like a Metal Men and he gave it to Duncan Rouleau. And he had this Asian version of the Atom that he gave to Gail Simone. I'm like, oh, 2 things I like. Sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was written by Gail Simone and illustrated by John Byrne in sort of his last big, major main profile assignment.
Okay.
He was an Asian science professor who took over Ray Palmer's old position at Ivy University.
Who really don't have... I know we're in the age of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
There really aren't that many Asian characters, period.
No.
I'm surprised they have not brought this version back.
Sort of like him and Jaime Reyes were kind of like they were maybe like 5 years too early, unfortunately.
You think that's what it is?
I think if they were showing up these days, people would be a lot more into the idea, as opposed to just like, why isn't this my old character?
I don't think either one of those characters are diversity for the sake of diversity, though.
No.
I think they stood on their own
Yeah.
as characters. I don't have that much of a Ryan Choi background. He's shown up in some of the crossover stuff that we've done.
Yeah, so he found the old Atom gear and started superheroing around because Ivy Town was one of those classic centers for all weirdness in the world and had a cancer monster living in the sewers, and Lady Cop was in charge of the police station.
Wait, what?
Lady Cop.
What?
Yeah. And then Byrne
What
left.
was her powers? Was she a lady and a cop?
There was an old DC Universe like first issue special. Like it was like a place where they specifically introduced new characters, and one of the characters was Lady Cop because at the time the concept of a lady being a police officer was outlandish. And Gail Simone thought that was just so retro charming. She decided she'll bring back the character as the police officer in the book.
I find it so strange because Devin, years ago, like 3 years ago, when he was 6, 7, made his character in DC Universe Online Officer Girl. So I'm assuming he.
As soon as I heard that, I just smiled, knowing like, you don't even know what you're doing, dude.
Man, I assume he's pulling from some ancestral knowledge or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and then Byrne left, and Gale left, and Ray Palmer came back and was a total jerk to Ryan, and it got canceled. And then, after not doing anything because unusually jerky Ray Palmer was so important, Ryan Choi got put on one of those fabled death lists that writers were allowed to pick off of when they needed to kill a character for cheap shock value, and he was brutally and pointlessly murdered by Deathstroke in an issue of Terror Titans during the period of time where people couldn't stop getting murdered in issues of Teen Titans. They literally had to spin off a series called Terror Titans just in case someone made it 3/4 of the way through an issue and not die. And
so
then
they like about killing them,
and they did a Titans East one shot just so they could murder the entire Titans East team at the end of it. And this was all happening right as he was debuting as an awesome, outrageous Aquaman.
Guys,
yeah.
Oh, bad timing.
And this happened right at the time he was debuting as outrageous Aquaman sidekick on Brave and the Bold. And I'm still a little upset about this, Sean. In case you couldn't tell.
No, couldn't see it. Again, the 2-page recap of the characters. He was murdered and delivered in a matchbox as his coffin. Mm-hmm. That's jacked up.
Yeah.
Why is everyone saying the New 52's all dark and stuff when this stuff is like crazy dark?
Titans was so freaking dark at the end. I don't know what the heck happened. I just don't know.
Just suck all joy and replace it with murder.
Look, it's Wendy and Marvin from the Super Friends. Oh yeah, Marvin is a death dog from another dimension. He ate Marvin. Under the dome. Teen Titans, go. Under the dome in Gotham City, Ray Palmer, the Atom, is trying so hard to be like the Superman of the city of depowered heroes. He saves some people from a collapsed building by using his power to be able to embiggen his hand like Ms. Marvel, but just his hand. Here is my power to make my hand slightly larger.
So does he get strength from it, or is it just he just makes a
weird big hand? He looks like it's like that one Foo Fighters video. That's what it is. And I wonder why my hand gets so freaking big. If anything could ever...
It really does nothing but distract people so I can hit them over the head.
Yeah. So everyone in Gotham thinks he's crazy because he hears voices in his head. So he goes on the news and yells at Deathstroke for murdering his brilliant friend Ryan Choi, who he loved and thought was great and never treated like garbage. Meanwhile, while watching the TV, the former Deathstroke Slade Wilson, who as we all know is currently living under the name Cassius Wild, which is actually what he's going by and not one of my crazy make-em-up names, he's going to kill this Atom too, because Deathstroke hates these atoms.
Does he just wave his sword in front of him in the air like, I hate atoms?
I learned this from the Eminence of Blades. I can slice this atom.
I'm going to chop all these atoms up. Ha, 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 ha.
So,
but it felt so weird, because he's just like, oh no, someone said my name. I better scrap my secret identity and don my costume again and go out there and kill this guy who said my name. It's like, well, why don't you just stay hidden? Because that's the entire point, is no one's linking you up with Deathstroke.
Yeah. So Ray Palmer punches out more bad guys with his giant hand. and then has a 10-page long conversation with the waitress of his favorite restaurant. And then Deathstroke attacks him. And then Telos says, hey, everybody, the dome's going down. So just as soon as he's about to get his revenge on Cassius Wilde, he gets teleported off to an underground golem cave?
Yeah,
I don't recall too many of the other characters getting teleported. I thought
A couple of them did,
okay.
like Batgirl did. That's what I said. Some people, maybe it's the people that are on the quote-unquote champions list or the people teleported to Battle World or whatever you called it.
We can assume that for the sake of our storytelling.
I am giving the benefit of the doubt because some of the people weren't champions. They were just back at the town trying to defend their town from other folks.
So then he has to fight an extremist. Is it Dr. Doom or Dr. Octopus? No, it's Barracuda.
Who?
Of all your favorite characters you miss so much, interacting with each other for the first time, pre-Flashpoint Ray Palmer and Tiger Shark analog Barracuda.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, someone's been peeking at my fan fiction, Sean.
I see the scientific link between the two because Barracuda's made of atoms.
Yeah.
And the atom is named Adam.
So now he can hit him with his giant fist.
Well,
so
wait, does he get all his powers back?
He does, but he still hits him with his giant... He loves hitting people with his giant fist.
Because the dome came down. He can make himself all tiny again.
So now he stabs him with his big sea fork, and so then Adam decides to finally start shrink fighting him because, he's the Atom.
Does he have the proportional strength of a teenage girl?
Maybe. So then he goes and flies straight through Barracuda's head, piercing a nice hole in there, and he just falls over. He might still be okay. He's just a little punctured.
Aneurysm, yay!
He needed this fight like he needed 2 extra holes in his head. Yeah, so, and then suddenly Ryan Choi is there and alive on the last page. Yay! Just give me platelet and everything's forgiven, guys.
So are we to assume that he was trapped in his head?
I'm guessing he was the voices in his head. I don't know how he's making his hand bigger, but
couldn't grow big because of the dome. So he was stuck there and just had to stay there until the dome dropped and he could actually grow back to normal size.
Possibility.
I'm assuming. But how did he go from dead in a matchbox, full on corpsey corpse?
Yeah.
To did Ray Palmer take his body and just shove it in his ear like a Q-tip or something? And it was just you just stay up there, dead body of my best friend that I never treated like garbage. This is a respectful place for you. This is a respectful place for you.
Your final resting place. You're like the size of an earwig now. I'll just put you in my ear.
Like I do with earwigs.
Yes. You're not supposed to let them get in your ear, but I find that advice to be misguided.
We all have our habits, and some are harder to kick than others. It was an issue.
It was, wasn't it?
It was an issue.
I like that 2-page recap of him, except for the parts at the end that I didn't like.
Yeah, with Dwarf Star and stabbing and matchboxes. And
well, Dwarf Star was cool in the Atom series, the all-new Atom series.
Did they just have shrinky fights? I'll shrink smaller than you. No way, I'll shrink smaller than you, but still maintain my proportional strength. No way, I'll shrink smaller than you. No way, I'll shrink smaller than you.
I think I have mentioned this on the show before, but Dwarf Star was being funded by an evil. The big bad of the all-new Atom series was a mysterious guy who you knew there was something off about him because he thought circus peanuts were the best candy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's evil.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see where it picks up on the second one. Out of all the ones for this week, this is the one that had me scratching my head the most because I had the least amount of dealing with these characters, I think. And I think that was where I fell short. And then on top of that, it was kind of a weird story to deal with them. And I was like,
how to talk with a waitress.
Yeah, I was like, what? And the way he ran up to the news girl is like, hey, news girl, how are you?
And I was like, oh my God.
You're weird, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't have the history to say whether it was on model or not. I don't know what's happening here.
No.
But that's it. That's all of the books. We made it through week 1 of Convergence. Yeah. So you have gotten a full week of it. You got Convergence all over the place. It converged in front of you.
Yep.
You came in kind of way. How are you feeling after week 1?
I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Good. Plus
it lets me talk about all my old favorite stuff, which was the whole point of having me on the show in the first place. So
Exactly. And I like having the multiple viewpoints of it because the stuff I've read is different from the stuff you've read.
Yeah.
And or where I've run across these characters or not run across these characters. So again, this was kind of my refresher on Ray Palmer, and I was like, I just remember him being really sad and shrinking small. I think I'm just going to stick with that version of it. But as a message out to you guys, make sure you go out there and buy these books. Something might appeal to you. I'm not saying all of them will, especially if you don't have a history. They've done a decent job alone with just that 2-page high-level overview so that you at least understand where they're pulling from on a lot of these stories. I would almost recommend reading the last 2 pages before you read the book itself. If you don't have as much experience with the
really, that
stuff.
probably would be I almost would have been better to do it like the old Marvels, where they'd give you they had a 2-page or a fold-out front cover that lets you know everything before that you need to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see it at the end as well, so it's okay, just let the experience wash over you, and then you can go back and do your research.
I can see that too.
So, I mean, I completely understand why they would do it that way. But if you have no experience with them, reread it again after you read the 2 pages. And you might get a little bit something more out of it. Some of them, as we said, deal more with the psychological present day issues. Some of them are, as Brian was saying, going back and picking up story threads that were lost, or forging forward with threads right where they cut off so that they can do something different. And you got a mixed bag of stuff here. I'm not gonna lie. They definitely did a shotgun spread of trying different things with different titles. Some of them worked. Some of them didn't quite much as work, at least for me. As I said before, I don't have the history with a lot of these characters to be like, okay, maybe people really like this guy, and that's what they've been itching for, so I can't really
Someone out there opened up that page of the app and went, ooh, Barracuda.
Barracuda. But yeah, make sure you give them a shot. Give them a try. I would say if you don't buy them, they won't make them, but they're only making them for 2 months, so nothing's going to get canceled if you don't pick it up, but dabble. Dabble is what I'm going to say.
Dip your toe in.
Dip your toe in. It's so far worthwhile. I know it's week 1, but so far there's at least enough there to amuse a lot of different people.
Or just buy that Captain Carrot trade for your kid.
Or do that. Yeah. Next week, we go into week 2 of Convergence. Who do you think we're dealing with next week, Brian?
Let's see. If we just did pre-Flashpoint, are we doing pre-Identity Crisis?
0 Hour.
Are we going to see Anima? Does Anima get a 2-shot?
I don't know. Who's Anima?
She's a character that showed up after 0 Hour and then was never heard from again after about 8 months.
Oh, so is the Pandora of 0 Hour?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. This one we get Convergence 2. Lots of Batman. And I think we're going to get that scenario of Batman meeting Bat Dad as Batman and just going, so we were just kind of doomed to do this no matter what, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Universe kind of sucks balls.
Yeah.
We get Convergence Aquaman, number 1. Hook hand and all. Long hair. Hook for a hand. Aquaman.
What?
I don't know. That's my song. I was writing about 90s Aquaman.
All right.
Convergence, Batman Shadow of the Bat, Azrael, coming to dish out some justice, I guess.
Is Gargamel coming along with him?
I don't know who Gargamel is, so sure. I'm going to say he is.
He's the villain from the Smurfs.
Okay, now I see
who
what
had
you
a cat
did there.
named Azrael.
Yes, I know what you did there now. Convergence Catwoman, number 1. I don't know where they're going with that. Where was Catwoman around 0 Hour?
Is this the purple cat suit?
Yeah, it looks
Jim
purplish.
Ballant looking.
What's that?
Like Jim Ballant Catwoman?
She looks Catwomanish.
Okay.
So, yeah. We get Convergence Green Arrow, number 1. I don't know what he's doing there either. Let's see. Convergence Green Lantern / Parallax, number 1.
Okay.
We're going to go smoting some Green Lanterns. It's hunting season. It's Green Lantern season. It's Red Lantern season. It's Green Lantern season.
There were
it's
no
Red
Red
Lantern
Lanterns back then.
Why you got to rain on my...
Is Guy Gardner Warrior showing up?
Oh, I hope so.
Oh.
I hope so.
My arms turn into guns.
He's just going to start shaking the ropes of the ring circle.
Destrucity.
Convergence Suicide Squad, number 1. Old school Suicide Squad here.
The Wall.
Cyborg Superman was on the Suicide Squad at some point?
Nope. Not that I know of.
It's Bane, Black
unless it was
Manta.
unless it was the guy that became Cyborg Superman before he was
composite Superman, maybe? I don't know.
Composite Superman would be if it looked like Batman and Superman were mushed together.
No, that's not right. It's like a Cyborgy, Black Manta, Poison Ivy, Bane, Deadshot, and the wall.
Yeah.
Like the old school wall.
Yeah.
We get the Don't Call Me Superboy, Convergence Superboy number
Don't mess
one.
with the S.
Yeah, the Metropolis kid.
Is that the cover?
Yeah, it's the kid.
That's
Him
the
wearing
best
the leather
cover.
jacket and the buzz cut and the pointing at the back that says
Which
Don't mess with the S.
has come back in style now.
Yeah, I know. The sad thing is that Babs Tarr that did that one?
Yeah. That
I
picture's
could
amazing.
totally see that being the relaunch and them just running with that image of him. Even though the new
Give
one...
them what they want.
No, the new one finally found a place. He's got like something going on here now. And
Everyone just wants the Metropolis kid back.
I know. I am the first fan to say I want the Metropolis kid, but I want the Max Landis Metropolis kid just dancing up on the riverfront.
Yeah.
Let's see. We get Convergence Supergirl Matrix number 1, and I had to ask you.
I think this might. No, I can't see your monitor because of the
She
setup.
just looks like a Supergirl with a skirt,
like blonde hair, skirt.
Yeah, big cape, boots.
I think this is the Peter David one, who's like also a fallen angel and has flame wings, but I could be wrong.
Okay, well, that sounds pretty normal for Supergirl, I think.
Yeah.
Convergence
Wings plus cape was a little awkward, but whatever.
Convergence Superman, the Man of Steel, as we get Steel and his daughter running out there to fight Parasite, it looks like.
Daughter or niece?
Is that his niece? Yeah, I guess it would be. There's multiple people covered in liquid metal.
Okay.
That's all I know. So
It's
apparently,
a steel book.
old school Steel. Not too much different from present day
No.
Steel. Just, hey, I like you. Have some liquid metal on your body. And that's it. That's all of the books coming out for next week. So think of it as 0 hour mixing with we don't know what. They're going to pull from some other places as well, I'm sure. And then eventually we'll get to the quarterfinals and then the semifinals. I really just want to have like someone with one of those giant tournament boards just pulling down the things and moving people on while I the Tiger or You're the Best Around is playing. That's really what
I want
we
to look
need.
like the basketball playoffs is what I want to look like.
Okay, I could do that too. I mean, we need that set up, DC. Just get on
Where's the
that.
184th seed, Barracuda?
And didn't make it. And
Oh.
no one bet on him, so you're fine.
Your brackets are safe, everybody.
So that's it. That's what we have coming on next week. More history. Brian, brush up on your 0 hour. Were you reading at that time?
That was right before I started.
Was it? So you
Yeah.
have kind of the aftermath
Like
stuff.
I kind like that was when I was still reading my like funny comic books and my Simpsons and stuff. So
Okay.
I would get the comic shop news and I get basic ideas of what was happening. But
So I'll have to brush up as well then. And
yeah,
let's see.
I think I know
Dude,
enough.
that book is so expensive. Like the 0 hour trade.
Really,
I guess it went out of
Must
print a
have-
while
must have,
ago,
yeah.
and it's like ridiculous expensive. That and the Emerald Twilight stuff as well, where I was like, oh, well, I'll pick that up. That seems to be like a pretty big thing.
I don't know. I
And
might
I'm like,
still be able
$80
to.
for a trade. Screw you, hippies.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, I had that never-ending subscription to Wizard, so I got a lot of recaps of stuff that I never read. That I know of.
Weezard.
Yep.
So you're telling me you've been living a lie this entire time? You're like Octodad.
To a certain point. Hey, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The dadliest catch.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
There's a lot of stuff that I read, but the last, like, 80 pages of every issue of Wizard was like a price guide, and in the corner of every page was a recap of books that came out like 2 months ago. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that I just sort of know tangentially from reading through that when I was bored as a kid.
Touche. It's gonna be better than me going through Wikipedia articles.
Oh,
so
God, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Citation needed. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a blast. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, guys. I appreciate the fact that you're out there updating that stuff, but jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get some of the swagger, the verve, the little kid wonder out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. Not just cold hard facts.
Yeah.
I don't deal in cold hard facts. I deal with feelings. No reels, just feels. That's what I deal with.
Sure, why not?
But if you guys do want to contact us, you can do so. Where, Brian?
On the internet.
Yeah, you guys know the drill. We trust you to operate the internet. We have a pretty good idea. You know how it works. We're DCR Podcast out there. you'll find us pretty easily. If you want to email us, we're feedback@dcrpodcast.com. So without any further ado, Brian, what do you have to tack on to this one?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have fun looking up old fan art of these characters, though.
Old fan art
on Tumblr, yeah.
Like actual old fan art, like 1990.
I'm just sure. I'm just sure some people are drawing these versions of the characters. So.
I'm gonna try to find the old 90s giant pouch laden alternate versions of these characters, because that has to have been right around that time frame, right? Like
yeah,
the mid 90s there, early 90s. Yeah, we can get some.
I'm sure I can find all sorts of hook hand Aquaman.
Yeah, just pouches hanging off his hook hand. Yeah, long hair, hook hand, Aquaman. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. So, guys, enjoy your books, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and we will talk to you next week.